The Birds finally get over the hump that is winning in Tampa. The Birds are 4-0, but are there bigger problems ahead? Plus, the D-line takes another hit, and what do the Birds need to do to get a win this Sunday versus Denver? We're talking all about that and more, so without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe, and I apologize in advance for the way my voice might sound right now. I've been dealing with a sickness over the past week, so I appreciate y'all bearing with me. But let's get into things. In typical Philly fashion, the Birds get another ugly-ass win. They were up 24-6 at the half, and then we basically saw a reversal of what the Birds did against the Rams in Week 3. Hurts couldn't complete a single pass in the second half, the offense was predictable as hell, and the defense had a hard time in coverage against receivers, allowing 2 touchdowns of 70-plus yards to creep up on us before our defense did what they needed to do to secure the win. Because the second half offense, it ain't do shit, y'all. Jalen Hurts would finish 15 for 24 for 130 yards passing, 2 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. Despite only 37 yards, tight end Dallas Goedert gets those 2 touchdowns in the air, while Saquon Barkley runs for 1 on the ground. The only light from our team really this game was from special teams, with yet another blocked kick, this time a punt by Cam Latu and returned for a touchdown by Sidney Brown. Despite these achievements, there are still concerns with this Philadelphia team that we'll talk about in our takeaways, but before that, let's get into some Eagles news. Starting off, defensive end Ogbo Okoronkwo will miss the remainder of the 2025 season after suffering a triceps injury versus the Bucs. This injury will unfortunately continue to deplete our edge rush depth with Nolan Smith on IR and now Okoronkwo out for the entire season. The Eagles got to figure out what the fuck they're doing with Azeez Ojulari because he has been a healthy scratch all 4 games this season, and there really hasn't been any clear communication, or not at least that I've seen, as to why he's continuing to be this healthy scratch. If he's inactive again Week 5, we'll only have Jalix Hunt, Josh Uche, Zadarius Smith, and Patrick Johnson in that edge rush position. In other news, another Eagles player joins IR. This time it's long snapper Charlie Hewlett with an undisclosed injury as of this time around Thursday afternoon. To replace him, the Eagles have signed long snapper Cam Adomaitis, who previously played with the Cincinnati Bengals. But the good news is, y'all, is that the Eagles have opened the 21-day practice window for inside linebacker Nakobe Dean, who's been rehabbing from a torn left patellar tendon since January of this year. That's basically 9 months. He posted on his Instagram story with a quote, "See you in Week 5," and he was a limited participant at Wednesday's practice. But as of right now, as I'm recording this, it has not been confirmed whether he will play in Week 5 or not. After the Bucs win, All-Pro wide receiver A.J. Brown tweeted out a Bible verse with a potentially cryptic message that read, "If you're not welcomed, not listened to, quietly withdraw. Don't make a scene, shrug your shoulders, and be on your way." Mark chapter 6, verse 11. It's been clear that even with our winning record, fans have been frustrated with the offensive operations, and A.J. Brown as well. And the tweet had people claiming he's indirectly calling someone out within the Eagles organization. However, during an interview on Wednesday, AJ took the time to speak with the media to clear the air on everything. He takes responsibility for letting his, quote, frustrations boil over, and that despite what the tweet may have implied to some, that it was not directed to anyone within the Eagles organization. He talks about how he's not the type of receiver to be complaining and demanding for the ball on the sidelines, and that he tries to let the game come to him. This includes denying any claim that AJ was force-fed the ball due to his complaints. Within the interview, he goes on to mention how he, quote, doesn't think it's a bad thing for wanting the ball. It's not just for targets or anything to put numbers up. No, I see that we're struggling, and I'm a guy that wants the ball in those situations. When we can't find a way, give it to me. When the game is on the line, give the ball to me. I want that. I want that pressure. I put it on myself, and I work hard for it. And then finally, when he was asked, of course, because someone asked the question, if he was happy in Philadelphia, he immediately responded with, absolutely, this is home. Unfortunately, I did it to myself, but this is my home. I love it here. Now look, I can understand AJ's perspective. He's got big goals and big Hall of Fame aspirations. And despite the Super Bowl ring, they look at touchdowns and yards and catches and other numerous stats versus Super Bowl wins for getting into the Hall of Fame. But at the same time, he is an active contributor and a team player, and he wants to be able to solve the problem if the offense is struggling, or at least help solve the problem. He knows what he is capable of, but he's not demanding anything from anyone with any hostility. He just wants to help. And when he feels like he can't, it's frustrating to him. Some people sympathize with the situation. Some people are calling him a diva and telling him to grow up. Personally, I just see a regular guy venting out his frustrations in a relatively healthy manner. A lot of us know, or at least have a general idea about AJ Brown's history with mental health. He's been very outspoken about it. And I'm not saying this tweet or this situation is related to anything regarding an issue with his mental health, but him handling this frustration in this way versus lashing out on others on the sideline or going and directly bashing people to the media or pulling an Antonio Brown-like stunt in the middle of the game and just walking off, this is something we shouldn't look at negatively. Did the tweet create a sense of mystery and worrisome for people for a brief moment? Sure. Does it give Philly media, who just love to blow shit out of proportion, more ammo? You bet it does. However, at the end of the day, AJ Brown is just a regular human like all of us. He's allowed to be frustrated. He's allowed to have dreams and goals that he has to individually pursue. He's allowed to be a fucking human, y'all. I'm glad AJ's using a healthy outlet to express his emotions. We've seen players like Lamar Jackson throw their helmets at the bench this past week. We've seen Travis Kelce get into screaming matches with his own head coach. We've seen our very own Jalen Carter spit on another player. We've seen Myles Garrett literally clobber Mason Rudolph in the head with his own helmet. And people want to be up in arms over a tweet? That just doesn't make any sense to me. The team will help AJ Brown get to where he wants to be. We just gotta trust the process. To me, AJ taking the time to make things clear with the media shows humility and the desire to not only clear his personal name, but to ensure that he is also a team player, is not calling anyone out directly, and is one who just wants everyone, including himself, to succeed. All right, y'all, let's move into some takeaways from this Week 4 win. Starting off with Kevin Patullo. You've got to get better or get out. I am so sick of this shit, man. It's not even just bad play calling anymore. And the play calling is fucking awful, don't get me wrong. It's the inconsistency. We were dog shit in the first half against the Rams and the second half against the Bucs, but looked incredible in the other halves of those games. What is up with that? Also, why the fuck are we force-feeding Saquon up the middle 40 times a fucking game when our O-line can't solve their rushing attack problems just yet? Another question. Why is he only having our receivers run screens, slants, curls, and digs? Where are the corner routes, the posts, the go routes? Where are these routes? Why can't he figure out a way around a cover 2 defense? Because we ain't doing shit versus it so far. It's frustrating as fuck. And to be honest, it's kind of teetering towards the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. That's what Patullo's doing. And while the team has been successful, I do want to acknowledge that the team has been successful per our record for the first 4 weeks. This style of winning is not sustainable for the long run because the offense is just so fucking predictable. Yes, Patullo has had his very positive moments, like what we saw in those two halves of football versus the Rams and the Bucs. But for the most part, we are just continuing to see vanilla, repetitive play calling that is not utilizing our players to their full potential and puts a lot of strain on one group, and I think specifically this is the O-line, to keep the offense scoring. I don't know what the exact answer is, but I know what the answer isn't, and it is Kevin Patullo's current play calling. We went from a very, very experienced play caller in Kellen Moore to a clearly inexperienced one, and now it's really starting to give 2023 Brian Johnson vibes. This is why A.J. Brown is frustrated. This is why the O-line is frustrated. This is why we as fans are frustrated. From what I see, the man currently holding the team back from its full potential is Kevin Patullo. Can he have a change of heart and run this offense all over the rest of the league? Sure. We saw it in Tampa. We saw it with the Rams. But we just gotta see that change now for a much longer time. We don't want this shit to escalate to the point where AJ does consider leaving despite what he said in his interview, and we yet suffer another collapse. He and the rest of the coaching staff have got to figure this shit out and fast. Next takeaway. If Kelee Ringo wants to stay the starter at CB2, his tackling's gotta improve. Now granted, Keelee's physical presence and coverage was pretty great. I really liked what I saw out of him. He was aggressive, he was quick to the offensive players, and Fangio stated in a press conference on Wednesday that Ringo could remain the starter even when Adoree Jackson is healthy. However, despite his success in that game, he's going to have to do a lot better at tackling. There were multiple instances where Kelee was there to make a hit, but either couldn't wrap up and completely missed the tackle, or had some poor arm tackling that was just good enough to slow the ball carrier down so somebody like Zach Bond or Cooper DeJean or another defender could assist with finishing off the tackle. If Ringo can maintain his performance against the Bucs and improve the tackling and keep it consistent, who knows? He could be the answer to our cornerback 2 problems. Next takeaway. This current run game is not going anywhere. Now, I feel like this is a combination of things between questionable play calling, an ineffective scheme, and a banged up O-line. And speaking of that, we really need to check on Landon Dickerson, y'all, because he might be more hurt than he is letting on to be. For an O-line that's been praised as one of the best in the league over the past few seasons, they haven't lived up to that hype in these first 4 games, and their numbers are showing it. And I don't think it's Jeff Stoutland that's the problem. I just think they're having a hard time as a group adjusting to yet another scheme, and a scheme that at this point just skates by and does just enough to ensure the win. But again, this is not a sustainable plan, and it will continue to deplete the energy of our offensive line. The entire offensive coaching staff just all need to come together and figure it out and get these lanes open for Saquon again. And the last takeaway is more so of a question that I've been hearing around the internet lately, is that did Jalen Hurts get concussed? This has been a rumor floating around over the past couple days because during the first half, Jalen on a QB run slid to stop. However, he still took a hit from a Bucs defender to the head and shoulder areas, which of course drew a penalty. The speculation about this is that there was the significant difference in his performance before and after the hit. Prior to the hit, Jalen was 15 for 19 for 130 passing yards, but after the hit, according to various stats, he was 0-5. People are thinking Hurts' hit to the head might have done something more than just give him a headache. Now, Some people might use this as an excuse for his second half performance. However, the entire offense has a lot of work to do. It's not just Jalen. And to be honest, if a concussion was actually a possibility, they would have pulled him out of the game like immediately like they did against Washington. They don't play around when it comes to concussions. Until I hear any official confirmation, which at this point in the week, I doubt that's happening, I don't think he was actually concussed. All right, y'all, now we're going to preview the Week 5 matchup versus the Denver Broncos. The Birds head back to the link to face a Denver team that's got a lot of people talking. Despite the Broncos' 2-2 record, this is a game that the Birds should not take lightly. With everything that's been going on with the offense and in the media, the Eagles need to have a high numbers game, and if they do that against the Broncos, that could boost some motivation for the rest of the season. Here are some things that I think the Birds need to do in order to get a win this Sunday. First, our offense needs to attack the middle of the field. The weakest component of the Broncos defense, despite how strong they are, is their linebacker core. Dallas Goedert, if he's healthy, I know because he's been dealing with another injury, does fantastic at getting separation from defenders in the middle, and he definitely can beat out the linebackers in a foot race. If he's not healthy though, either scheme your top wide receivers with some dig routes or trust your backup tight end in Grant Calcaterra to get the job done with Goddard's routes. Don't eliminate the idea of taking control of the middle of the field simply because Dallas Goedert may or may not be able to play. Next, speaking of scheming out things, the offense needs to scheme our wide receivers open, y'all. It's time, Patullo. You've got to fix this scheme because this shit ain't working. You have one of the top wide receiver duos in the league, and you're not utilizing them to their full potential. Utilize their strengths and put them into positions in order to succeed, not just in positions that offer comfort and security. You got to be able to allow our offense to take some risks if you want results. And this also includes not giving up on third and long situations. I do not want to see another fucking run up the middle on any third down that is longer than 6 yards. Pass the damn ball at that point. Next, our DBs need to clean up some crucial mistakes. Miscommunication and poor timing with both Reed Blankenship and Andrew Makuba, plus blown coverage that ended up having Jahad Campbell try to pick up the slack, led to 2 touchdowns of 72 and 74 yards, I believe it was. That cannot happen, and I know Fangio was probably livid when that happened. Bo Nix put up over 320 passing yards last week, so we should look for him to pass a lot, especially if we are able to shut their run game down. And with Cortland Sutton as their wide receiver 1, it'll be another uneasy matchup for Quinyon Mitchell to handle. And finally, and I think this is one of the most important things that this team needs to do, and that is find their identity. It's a brand new season, and I know for us last year, it took a little bit for our identity to get going. We were at a 2-2 start going into a week 5 bye. After then, everything was smooth sailing and we found an identity. For this season, it's time that we found ours. A team is unsuccessful if they don't have a clear identity, because at that point, it's just 11 dudes playing 11 different types of football. A lot of the mainstream sports media talks about how we are winning, but we're performing with low numbers and no identity. And I agree with what some of them said, which is once this Philly team finds its identity, there is no stopping them. But now is the time to do that. We can't find our identity in week 11 when it is too late to have a shot at the playoffs. When Philly finds this season's identity, the rest of the league will be put on notice. All right, we'll wrap things up with some predictions. Now, with the history that we've been having this season, I originally was thinking that this would be another one-possession game. There's been a lot of talk about Denver coming in and upsetting the Birds, but I don't think that's happening. I think, but mainly hope, but I think after reflecting on this past week's drama, the Birds come on out and put a fucking show on. It might sound crazy, And I acknowledge this, it might sound crazy, but I'm predicting a Philly win with a score of 35-21. I'm hoping that Patullo gets his shit together enough with the passing game, and we see 2 passing touchdowns to A.J. Brown to get his motivation back up, and a passing touchdown to Jahan Dotson. I was thinking Devontae Smith, but for some reason, it's just calling to me that Jahan Dotson may get a touchdown this game, so I'm going with him. On the ground, I see Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley getting 1 touchdown apiece. All right, y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at 2nd and 15 or by the full name 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, Pocket Casts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And the video will be uploaded to YouTube later that same day. This episode, 2nd and 15 and Old City Sports Network are sponsored by SeatGeek. Download the app and use our promo code Old City Sports Network for $20 off of your first purchase. That's SeatGeek.com, or use the app to get $20 off your next sporting event today. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network. This Week 5 matchup will be on Fox this Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And we will see you all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds!